Hello, today I'm going to talk about the shyguymask bomb, or the 024, specifically with alk buff, compared to the other bombs when implemented in a real chimp strategy, which is the important thing. So how well does this thing do in a real chimp strategy with the certain characteristics that are limited to chimps? And today I'm going to be talking about it and why the O24 bomb isn't actually that good, and I'll be explaining like the logic and stuff behind it. And we're going to be starting off with its first of all biggest rival, which is the 204 bomb with the alk buff. So we're just going to put this in a standard simulation. We have the Jones buff, of course, we have the P mentoring, the double discount, and the camo village on the side, which is pretty standard. You would have that in chimps mode. And then we're also going to be alk buffing, putting it close to the track and on first, and we're just going to be seeing how this does. Of course, it destroys around 49. Now we're going to check out the O24 bomb, and it too will destroy around 49 too. And then I'm going to put it in another example after this. So these two bombs in price and stuff are pretty similar, and I will adjust prices when comparing this to other things. But for now, these ones are pretty similar, so I'm just keeping at his and showing the direct comparison. Now, the first thing that I'm going to be looking at is the layer skipping property that the O24 bomb does not have, that the 204 bomb does have. So Jones at level 19, he will give a full black detection to the bombs, which means layer skipping is no more, but this is only until very late, and layer skipping is very important in the early game. So as you can see, when we rerun round 49 without the level 19 Jones, which you would in no way realistically have by round 49, you'd get it like late game, around 95 plus or around 90 if you're on an harder map. So as you can see, it does struggle way more. And now we're going to be testing it on round, not 93, round 63, with the same stuff, the 204 bomb with the alk buff versus the O24 bomb with the alk buff. Now, as you can see, 204 bomb does very well, cleans it up very good, and this is the kind of stuff that you'd buy this bomb for, having big, dense ceramic rushes. Even if you're not doing Moab Mauler strategy, O24 bomb with an 204 bomb with an alk buff will do very well, and when you're doing the Moab Mauler strategy, this is kind of the specific thing that you get it for. Now, of course, 63 with the O24 bomb, not as good, significantly worse, and that's because it does not have the layer skip. If you don't understand how the layer skip works, it's basically if you have enough damage stacked up, so the attack does multiple damage on a go, you can bleed through all of the zebras and black properties, so you kind of just take them out in one go. And if you don't have enough damage, it can get stopped in the middle because you take it down to like a rainbow, and then on the next shot it will get blocked by the zebra, so you don't do the full damage, and that's the issue that the O24 bomb has. So now we're going to be checking out the Moab damage, and this is going to be compared to a round 80 ZUMG, and as you can see, it does pretty well. And I'm going to test it against the 204, and you'll notice that the 204 does not do as much damage to the CMG. So you might think, oh, it's worse because of that, but this is where some logic comes in, and we're going to be putting it in the situation of a real chimp strategy. In general, this is kind of the same as saying, oh, BMA is OP because it does so much for its cost. It can delete ZUMGs and stuff, but when you actually put it in a real strategy, no, it's very bad. It does not really do much for the strategy, and you just lose a lot of cash with it. So the BMA might look very good when playing with it in sandbox, but it's not. And this is the example with the O24 bomb, because realistically, you're not going to be using an O24 bomb to kill ZUMGs, and this is where I'm going to do the example with the Moab Mauler. So we're going to have $10,000, and I think this part of the recording I really have a struggle trying to do this part, so I'll go over to when I figure it out. Alright, so with the appropriate buffs given, we'll figure out that the 320 alk or 300 alk, I don't know which one I get here, will cost about 7,500 with this. So there we go. We'll just get this guy, and we're going to compare it with the Moab Maulers to see how well we do. Because again, realistically in Chimps games, for ZOMGs and stuff higher, we're going to be using Moab Maulers to take this down, not against Round 63. Let's put it against the ZOMG. So if the O24 Bomb is better against the Moab Maulers at killing the ZOMG, of course, it would be better because it does more against the Bloons and it would do more against the Moabs. But in this case, we'll find that these Moab Maulers are significantly better at killing the ZOMG than the O24 Bomb for the same price. And this kind of shows it can't really fit in because the Jack of all trades does not really imply here when we have a tower that's very good at layer skipping through all the big waves where you need it, and then we have the other tower which is very good at killing the Moabs and doing much more damage later on. So it's kind of in a rough position where it's not really going to do much, and you can only practically use it in specifically niche scenarios. Now, the next point that I'm getting to is that it will do the insides when you're in late game, which does not make any sense because in a real strategy, you're not using recursive clusters to deal with the insides because that's kind of stupid. The super ceramics will get pretty far if you're doing that, and you use spiked balls, which are significantly better at cleaning up against super ceramics, especially when they're back and they have time to build up. And kind of as a together strategy, it makes much more sense to get the 204 with a few of these Moab Maulers early and a spike ball just to clean up the ceramics on the inside. We'll see. This would be like a standard strategy, although the placement is terrible. You'd want to have this in the middle of the map for a Chimps game. This is kind of the standard, and everything works well together, and we don't have this O24 Bomb, which can't really clean up like 76 and 63 very well. It kind of does some Moab damage, but not a whole lot. Or we could just have this very good strategy that works well together. The 204 Bomb cleans up all the very dense ceramic rounds early game. The Moab Maulers do a lot of damage to the Moab, and the spiked balls will clean up stuff later on and do very good. Now, if you're saying, well, if you do Peck strats, you don't get Moab, no, not Moab Maulers, you don't get spike balls, and this is true for Peck strats, but you kind of don't need it anyways, because in Peck strats, you get the ballistic, which does a lot of damage to ceramics, and it's clearly superior just to spam 203 bombs in Peck strats 2 with the Moab Maulers, because you save so much more money with the extra discounts, and it's kind of useless to get the tier 4 after that. So with some simple logic, the O24 Bomb, which only does half of its job in 2 cases, does not really fit in with a strategy that is very clean and it will deal with everything very well. So that's that, and bye.